What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake.
And I'm Chris.
And we are finally back here in the wood yard. We literally just had to dust the cobwebs off the Eastonmade because it has been a hot minute since we've been out here to make firewood. Spring came like that. Now it feels like we're in full-blown summer. It's like 83 degrees. We had lots of spring cleanups to do at our property, mowing of the grass, ton of rain, a lot of side jobs. That's why we're doing some tree work videos. I went away ATVing over Memorial Day. Chris has been busy twiddling his thumbs. So we are out here and we got some new things we're gonna try today. As you can see, we got a raging fire going. We got a bunch of scrap to burn from the last time we were splitting. And if you guys remember, I had cut up a ton of rounds and we still have. I have not touched those rounds since the last splitting video. That is the remnants of our old log pile. We have since amassed a very nice start to a new log pile. But what I meant with some new stuff, and Chris, I want your input over here too, so think about what you're gonna say. You guys know that we normally fill up 4 totes at once, but Chris, what's the problem with that?
So when we fill 4 totes at one time, in order for them to fill evenly, the totes have to be 180 degrees out of the way they transport well.
Yeah, we stack them up like narrow ways, the skinny way sticking out, as opposed to the way that you see here with the wide plane facing out to where we can then come in with the tractor and pick them up. And how do we put the totes away?
We put them away in this fashion, wide ways instead of long ways.
Exactly. So the inherent issue with that is that one of us would have to come in with the tractor, pick up the tote the skinny way, put it down, spin the tractor around 180 or 90 degrees, I guess, and then pick it up from the wide way. So you're picking up the tote and putting it down twice and wasting that time spinning around, which does 2 things. 1, it wastes time, and 2, it allows for us to drop wood out of these totes, because as you guys know, we like to fill them up as much as we can, heap them up so that the customers get as close to, you know, a full third of a cord in the tote as possible.
Some of these totes also have the faces cut out of them, and they are very narrowly hanging on to the wood that they have. So the more jostling they get, the more likely those faces are gonna fall out.
Right, so as you guys know, productivity is everything here on Dude Ranch DIY. We are at the forefront of innovation in the firewood industry. We've said it before, I will continue to say it. So, I'm going to show you something that nobody has done in YouTube firewood. Have you seen anybody do it?
No.
I haven't seen anybody do it. Let me show you. This.
We need new guy Pete. These look more like earrings than anything else.
Yeah, these would look good in his ear. This is the forefront of firewood innovation. Now, you may ask, Jake, that looks like a cat toy. Or if you hold it sideways, cat whiskers. And it does. We could brush that bug off of you. We could probably pick your nose with it. But what these are, I'm not really sure what they're called, but I saw them at a nursery of all places.
For your information, Jake, they are called Presco Marking Whiskers.
Okay, so marking whiskers. I saw them at a nursery. This nursery is a commercial, contractor-only nursery, and they have a lot of forklift and loader traffic, to pick up and move around the trees. And these things were marking all of the paths. And I was like, wow, what a genius idea. Yeah, so as you guys know, a while back when we first started doing the whole 4-tote method, we marked out with these orange stakes the corners of all of the totes. And as you can see here, they easily get covered up. But with these whiskers, they don't. And these whiskers have this little metal tab that you pinch around your stake or nail or piece of rebar or whatever. And they stick up, so they're easy to see. So we went ahead and repositioned our stakes and added these kitty cat whiskers to them. That way we could see, where the corners of 2 totes are. And you also see we got 4 more totes over here. And our thinking is that it will be faster to come in with the tractor, pull out these 2 totes just enough so that we could fit 2 more in. The person doing that, i.e., Chris or myself, can then hop off the tractor and manually position the 2 fresh totes under here. What do you think that would take? Maybe a minute and a half to do all of that?
Well, where we're going to run into the issue is these forks aren't long enough to grab both of these totes at the same time.
Right.
So we're going to have to move this front one and put it down, which is now, at this point, at the very far end of the wood yard.
Well, I think for time's sake, the person on the tractor could simply get the 2 full totes out of the way, right out here in this general area, hop off the tractor, reposition the 2 empty totes underneath the conveyor so that the person splitting can continue to split, and then the person running the tractor could hop on the tractor and go and put the totes away, so as to not lose quite as much production time. You picking up what I'm putting down?
Oh, great Scott!
Yeah.
So you don't. So when you pick up the tote, you don't necessarily have to put it away fully. You just have to get it out of the way enough to put them down. And I think the time savings there will be that you don't have to take out back the tractor out, reposition it, flip the tote around. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we're just going to try this out. We've been talking a lot. We're going to fire up the equipment, see how it does, and we will reassess at the end of the video. Here we go. All right, guys, well, we started splitting at 325. It is now, we finished at 355. So we are right on par with our 1 hour to do 4 full totes. As you can see, these filled up pretty well. I actually think that we could move them a little more to the right, because as they started to get filled up, like past halfway, the wood was actually kind of sliding back. As you can see, some was falling back here. So I think when we reposition these next 2 totes, we'll kick them out a little bit. We'll have to reposition our stakes a little bit, but I think it's going well so far. What do you think?
Yeah, that seemed like a pretty smooth splitting session. I didn't really have to adjust any of the wood that was inside the totes. Like you said, there was a couple pieces that actually overshot it, so if we do push the totes back a little bit, might be perfect.
Yeah, I think it should catch them, no problem. And we also took about 5 minutes within that half an hour for me to bring the excavator over here. Chris was flying the drone, and we pushed the whole pile about 10 feet closer to the machine, so we didn't have to manually pull the rounds to the machine by hand. So I'm gonna hand Chris the camera now, and we will show you how much easier it is to pull out the totes and reposition the totes in this fashion.
Don't forget it's there.
Okay. I put it there.
It's right there.
Did you see it? Like that, I think we're ready to go. I will say, this little kitty cat whiskers made it super easy to see where the pins were. In the past, we'd be fumbling with the rake or brushing off by hand to try and find them, but those whiskers make it really easy. All right, guys, and just like clockwork, it is 4:27, and we got 2 more full totes. As you can see here, Chris is putting the finishing touches on these 2 totes. This is mostly beech, we're starting to get into some hickory. So this would be nice wood for those guys that like to use it, for smoking purposes or whatever, or just, home heating, because this is, really good burning stuff. I don't think before we touched on the speed of swapping out the 2 totes, but I think it went pretty fast.
Yeah,
at least
it went fast too. It seemed like maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah,
total.
Like you came to film me putting the totes down, but in theory, as soon as I started to go to move the totes to their final, resting spot, you could have started splitting again, and you could have been splitting the whole time.
Right. As soon as the empty totes were underneath the conveyor, I could have very easily started going again, and Jake could have finished moving everything, dating everything, and we would have been back in production.
Yeah, guys, the tricky part here is, like, Chris and I could be a lot more productive, 1, if we weren't filming, and 2, if I wasn't so goddamn OCD. My cleanliness, I'll say, definitely slows us down.
But that's okay.
To put it lightly. Go ahead.
All right. I think your cleanliness really goes and shows to your clients, to the guys on YouTube, to ourselves, and in our production. Before we started splitting today, we went through and we did a big clean sweep, but it didn't take all that long. There was a lot that needed to be done, but because of the things that we put in place and because of Jake's OCD, we were able to make that big mess gone in a short amount of time.
Exactly. I think in the short run, it seems like, oh man, we got to get a fire going. Oh man, we got to rake up under the conveyor. But what'd you take? 3 or 4 scoops out from around, the totes underneath the conveyor, and we slid over a top of, IBC scrap from underneath the splitter. And I think if I didn't have the OCD that I do, and we were to just let it all pile up, we would probably spend an entire day cleaning up instead of 20 or 30 minutes in the beginning of each or every other splitting session.
Right.
So I think you're right. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. My cleanliness does go a long way, and for those of you that have messy wood yards, shame on you. If you'll notice, we moved the totes about a foot out from where our kitty cat meow meow kitty cat whiskers were. And I think it, right now the edges of the totes are basically at the end of the grizzly bars because, the wood travels due to that thing called gravity. And I think, you adjusted the wood maybe once, like at the very end?
I adjusted the wood once at the very end, and I picked up probably 12 pieces that overshot.
Okay.
So we're not catching everything, but even when we had the 4 totes here, we were still picking up outside of the 4 totes.
Right.
So I think we're always going to have that, but not having a whole nother tote on the ground, I think is key.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep playing around with this 2-tote method versus the 4-tote method, but let us know in the comments below what you guys think, because I don't know. I think it seemed to go a little bit faster. Granted, this was just our first time doing it, so we'll have to play around with it a little bit more. But I think I'm done for today. It's hot, and I'm very thirsty.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the sun is just beaming down on us here, guys. So, as always, guys, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Link to the kitty cat meow meow kitty cat whiskers will be down in the description. If I remember, I'll try to pin a comment to the link to those. So if you guys are doing something like this, like positioning a single tote, 2 totes, 4 totes off the end of your conveyor, and you want that consistency and a visual aid to place the totes down or your bags or whatever every time, I think these things are a good option, and they were super cheap. So that's always a good thing too. As always, guys, if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down below. We'd really appreciate it. Questions, comments, feedback, throw it down in that comment section. But for now, I'm Jake.
And I'm Chris.
This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. See you here next time.